Welcome, everybody. So I'm very excited to be here today. I'm Tamara Herl, and this is the Be the Change Conversation with Visionary Women series. So I am on a mission to create a movement of visionary women all around the world who will work together and help humanity change the things that aren't working. So I've been reaching out, trying to connect with other change makers, and I was delighted to run across our guest today, Kelly Graham Tick. And because her story is just so amazing, she's inspiring. She's wants to make a difference in the world. She is making a difference in the world. Let me just read her bio. So she's a registered massage therapist. She's also an educator, a storyteller, a lover of life, people, animals, and the planet. She calls herself the Duchess of Nurturing Touch. She's a hugger of peeps and talking trees. She's a wisdom seeker, a soul doula, a cuddler of babies, handholder of the olders, resounder of respite, proud mama of humans, plants, and fur babies, compassionate extraordinaire, and founder of the amazing One Caring Human Initiative program. So Kelly, welcome so much to
Thank you so much.
be
It's
here.
great to be here.
You're welcome. I'm delighted to have you. So, tell us a little bit about this visionary program that you've created, this human, One Caring Human Initiative.
Okay, I'd be glad to. One Caring Human Initiative is an initiative aiming to provide a network of caregivers to offer compassionate presence and nurturing touch to the elderly and the dying, primarily, at first, anyway. And to do that in hospice, in care homes, and palliative hospitals. This is a population that is often underserved and can feel very ignored. And when it comes to the elderly who have been through so much and possibly lost loved ones and significant partners, they are a population that really um, needs the human touch more so than some other folks. Apart from babies and children, they are the number one population that really, really needs that. And they don't often get it because they can feel so separate from society. Yeah. So that's an outline pretty much of what I'm looking forward to serving in my community and the country. Mhm.
Beautiful. It's a beautiful vision.
Thank
How
you.
how did this all come about? When did you start becoming passionate about this?
I think that, I mean, forever, as long as I can remember, I've been um, deeply hurt by people not being offered dignity. And I think that's something that I recognized along my way. And being a registered massage therapist in Canada for over 10 years now, I have seen and heard so many stories of people who have had a lack of care or a lack of options in the healthcare system. They don't feel heard or seen or valued as decision makers in their own lives, and what they need to do to advocate for themselves can be really difficult. But this specifically, as a teacher for over 5 years in massage therapy, I've been running outreaches at seniors' homes. And these people found their way into my heart really quickly and are just beautiful to spend time with. And the nurturing touch that we give and my students give them is so necessary and so craved. You can just see how much it benefits them. And so, running this outreach for 5 years and being so close to them weekly, it was devastating when COVID shut down access and we were considered non essential. So it was heartbreaking for them and for us. And after a grueling, lonely 18 months, we were allowed back in. And the first moment I walked in the door, I saw one of the residents and one of my friends And she cried and just said, I can't believe what we've had to endure for the last 18 months. It was horrible. And she admitted she would rather die than go through that kind of isolation again, being served their meals in their rooms. They were able to wave to each other across the hall. She was locked behind fire doors in the hallways. And if she wanted to leave the building, she had to leave out the back door. There was just no uh, or very limited interaction. And so it was devastating. And she also believes that some people died of loneliness, and that if only one caring human was allowed to be in their presence and give them compassionate presence and nurturing touch, that could have saved many lives.
Wow.
Yeah. And so from there, One Caring Human initiative was born. Um, and just to mention that in Canada alone, in the first 3 months of COVID, there were more than 14,000 people that died in the country, and 80% of them were in care homes. That's more than 11,000 people out of the 14. So, how devastating that many of them may have died completely alone.
Yeah, wow. That's a powerful story. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. I know my brother was in a care center during COVID, and he went through the same thing or a similar thing. His wife couldn't even come and see him, and it was horrible. And he actually died there, and she didn't
Oh,
get to see him. It was horrible, really horrible for her. So
that is so sad.
so I'm it's sad that it happened, but it's the good thing, I guess, that has come out of it is that, now we know what a difference just the presence of one caring human and the importance of touch and how
Yeah,
that impacts people's lives.
absolutely. And hopefully as a catalyst for some change.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. So, this change that you are making is maybe considered huge by some people. And some people, when they're when they see something like that around them in the world and they want to change it, they can feel it, they can come across challenges and it can feel overwhelming. But just from your perspective, what would be maybe one of the biggest challenges that you encountered in making this vision become a reality, and how did you overcome it?
Mm. So there's a couple of different ways to look at that. And I would say there's an inner challenge and an outer challenge. And I would say that the outer challenge for me has been the Canadian healthcare system and the way that it is structured. At the moment, there is no funding for um, RMTs or massage therapists to be in those areas of hospitals and care homes um, and hospice that is funded for us to provide just nurturing touch and presence. There isn't anything that is available. Um, and I know that in the United States, there are massage therapists that are allowed to be in the hospitals, and there are programs to fund that. In Canada, we're allowed in hospitals, but each person or patient would have to pay out of pocket in order to have a massage therapist come in. And when there are so many other things to pay for, such as physiotherapy or occupational therapists and different things for rehabilitation, often we get left out of the picture. So I would like to see a change in that and have some funding in order to provide that to improve quality of life. Um, and so, one of the ways I'm working with that is I'm in conversation with a hospice at the moment that has connections in their hospice as well as in care homes to be able to um, start a pilot project so that we can uh, create some measurable outcomes in order to apply for grant funding. And there are several networks that we can apply for funding once we have some data that we can provide about the effectiveness of the program. So that's one of the things. The internal challenges for me have been some imposter syndrome, feeling, am I worthy enough to um, provide my ideas and have people listen or work with me on that. I've been able to do a lot of self work through that. I had some access to a mentoring program where I was working with Female Strong founder Callan Rush, as well as several amazingly incredible creative women where we met biweekly and shared ideas on our programs, as well as I love to read. So I've been immersing myself in Dr. Gabor Mate's work, as well as Brene Brown and Martha Beck. And all of these are helping me build my confidence to share my story and my truth and my vision. And that's been an important step in being able to do or overcome the obstacles or challenges that I face. So that's been very a worthwhile journey.
Oh, yes, definitely. And I just think I want to applaud you for not listening to the voice, that internal voice. The imposter syndrome it's something that a lot of people struggle with, surprisingly. And then I
So
think it
many.
shows up more when we step into our power and try to change these systems. And so I'm really glad that you took all those steps to transform the internal challenges that you were facing, and also how brilliant it is for you to, not be. I'm sure it feels discouraging not to have the funding, but you didn't let that stop you. Instead, you reached out and collaborated and are working to get some outcomes,
Mm-hmm.
measurable things to prove how important this is, so that other organizations will say, "Hey, we want that for the people that we care for as well."
Mm-hmm.
It's
You've
a
probably
good.
heard the quote, the desire to tell your truth becomes um, more painful than it is to, I can't remember the exact
Mhm.
quote, but it's more painful to keep it all inside than it is to
Mhm.
let it out, even though it's scary. And it seemed to be building towards that more and more.
Right.
And so I finally had to be free with it and allow it to come out and just do it scared anyway.
Yes, exactly. That brings to mind, I think I've read a similar quote. If it's not the same one, I think it's by Anais Nin. And it says, and the time came when the risk to remain tied in the bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom.
Exactly that. Yes.
So
Yeah.
I'm thinking of that. And then I'm also thinking of, there's a beautiful song, I believe it's by Lily Maloa, called Daydream.
Oh.
And it's a really powerful song. I love listening to it. And she says, if your dream isn't big enough if it doesn't scare the HE double toothpicks out of you. So it's like,
Absolutely.
yeah, there you go.
Yep. I'll have to listen to it.
It makes me cry almost every time.
Perfect.
So obviously you're a visionary woman, and you're determined to make this difference that you feel called to make. I'm curious if you could share with us a little bit about how you see your vision unfolding and expanding in the future.
Absolutely. Um, I I feel like I see the impact of my work every day because working with patients, it's like a microcosm. Each person is like a puzzle to to work with and be able to offer them different parts of themselves and give them feedback in different ways through touch and through compassion and holding space for them. And it's profound what can happen in spaces where people feel safe. And that's where healing takes place, is it doesn't happen without the safety or the feeling accepted, or having that psychological, physical, and emotional safety in order to start the process of healing. So healing takes place on many levels, and rises from a biopsychosocial aspect, which is a combination of biological, psychological, social, economic, educational, historical factors, and belief systems, among other things. And that just means that everything that we look through our own perspective based on all of our experiences. And so healing can look different for different people. So just seeing how a resident in a care home responds to nurturing touch, having a person that listens to them and cares for them, isn't scared to touch them, even though they're older or they may be dying, that's a huge benefit. And it gives them some psychological and emotional relief when someone touches them. Many people who lose their partners don't get to hold hands at all. And the impact I first saw when I was first volunteering in care homes is many people just wanted to hold my hand. And so I would hold their hand with one side and I would rub their back with the other, and we would talk or we would sing songs. And that presence just gives them so much. And it's such a simple thing, but it makes a profound difference in their nervous system and in their minds and in their hearts. And it also can increase a sense of well-being and decrease the sensation of pain, because our nervous systems are so wired for touch that is that important, that it can make such an impact. So I see the initiative eventually. What I would like to see is it expand into a national program where we're working with these populations of the elderly and the dying. And then my mom recently passed away in December, and she had cancer and was in a palliative hospital for the last couple of weeks of her life. And seeing that it can be a real struggle for people and family caring for their loved ones, not only emotionally, but also financially. And unfortunately, there was no funding for my sister or I, because we're both self-employed, to take time away from our businesses in order to care for our loved one. So even though we needed to spend every day with our mother, there was no aid to support within Canadian programs. I'm not sure how it is in the US, but it is very financially impactful while you're going through a grieving period. And I would love to see, I would like to add a caregiver fund to the initiative to be able to offer support and assistance to those needing to take time away from work to care for their loved ones, because there seems to be quite a gap in that as well. So that's one part I would like to expand into. And then also long-term, eventually, I'd like to build community wellness villages that provide primary and allied healthcare, in healthy living, learning, and support, a space for community to gather, as well as create intentional family and village bonding, because we've lost so much of that community. And in order to have a village raise our children to support and care for, instead of this individual struggle to get everything done all on our own, has been terrifying for so many people, and it raises anxiety, and it's so hard to move through our own minds when it comes to trying to get it all right. And if we had a supportive village, once again, it would give the world such a gift. And so those are the expansion plans that I have. They feel really big, but that's okay.
It is okay. Hopefully they scare you a lot, and that
They
means
do.
that they're worth it.
Yeah.
Well, and I just wanted to say I'm sorry for your loss, and
Thank you.
I love all of the initiatives that you and ideas that you have percolating, and I I am trusting that the universe will send you the people and resources and funding that you need to carry all those things out. I'm curious. I know that we might have Alice, we're going to give you a chance to ask questions in a little bit, and also for the people who will be listening later. Some of them, I'm sure, are seeing things around them that they'd like to change, but they might feel overwhelmed. Um, do you have, maybe they don't know where to get started. So if you have some words of wisdom to share with people who might be feeling that way, what would those words be?
Mm. Well, I believe there isn't only one way to start a movement or create change. I would think that from my experience, it's great to know how to start by continuing or beginning your inner work. I think that's incredibly important for you to know who you are and what you value the most, because that drives your integrity and that can help you stay in alignment with your integrity. For example, if I were to tell you the things that I value the most, it would be love, care, and nurturing, but also human dignity and continuous learning. And those things are my markers so that I can reflect on those and see if a decision that I'm trying to make is in alignment with those values. And if they're not, then I don't put as much energy into it. And if they do align, then it helps me drive my purpose forward. So I think that doing your own inner work and facing what you think may be difficult to look at in yourself, in your bias, in how you relate to others in the world, is super, super important first. And when it comes to your ideas or what you want to start, I would say learn as much as you can and write down everything that you can remember, all of your ideas. It's great to research what's already out there and working in your community or in your country or in the world, and reach out to others for meaningful discussion about what you deeply value, because I've found that it only takes one conversation to find the people that want to change the world with you. And that is how you can connect and create community. It's also great to learn communication skills, because when you build your communication and temper them with your authenticity, it's easier to grow a vision when people understand and receive you in a way that resonates with them. So if you align with your truth and integrity, you'll find those who also resonate with that. So a whole bunch of things, but those are all the things that I find really, really important.
Well, those are all wonderful words of wisdom. So thank you so much for sharing those.
You're welcome.
I'm going to be quoting you. I'll give you credit though, but I'm writing down all these things I want to
Thank
share
you.
with people. They're just such powerful gems. I love that it only takes one conversation to find the people who want to change the world with you. Yeah. And I think you're right. It really is helpful to connect with other people who care about even if they don't care about the same thing as you do, but if they want to change the world in their own way, maybe, or if they're doing their inner work, because that you're right, I think that's where it starts, and that helps us not feel so alone.
Mm-hmm.
We can encourage each
Absolutely.
other when, like, if one person is feeling more stuck and the other one's not, then they can spur the stuck one on. So yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm curious if you have any upcoming programs or projects that you'd like to tell us about. Now, and one thing I think I heard you say that you have a book coming out, or is it out already?
It's not out yet. I'm just at the point where I'm finishing up my first draft, and we'll get it to an editor quite soon. And it is called One Caring Human: Giving and Receiving Exceptional Care in a Disconnected World. And that has been a project for a couple of years. And I didn't realize when I jumped into it how the process would be and how long it would take. And I've enjoyed the research immensely, the interviews that I've done, and um, the research that I've read throughout, but also putting my own heart and soul into it has been quite amazing. So that is something that can be pre-ordered, however, and that is available on my website at onecaringhuman.org, or on my Instagram at Kelly Graham Tick, all in one word. So those areas you can pre-order, and once they're out, they will be sent to you both in digital form as well as paper copy. So that's one really exciting part of that. I also offer coaching, and just recently began a training program with the Martha Beck Wayfinder training, our coaching training, which has been really exciting so far. And that's a 9-month journey. So I will be offering some practice coaching as well as some coaching on things that I enjoy doing. One of the phrases in my bio called soul doula, I was coined that by one of my patients who not only came for massage therapy, but through our discussions, she found meaning and purpose. And for whatever reason, she said, "You are like my soul doula. You're helping my soul to be reborn so that I can see it and understand more about it." And I thought that was pretty amazing of her to um, to see me that way. And so I thought that would be um, a nice name for my coaching, because it's something that I love to do and really connect with people on a deep level. The other Anais Nin quote that I love and have hanging on my wall in my house is, there's a picture of a mermaid, and it says, "I must be a mermaid because I have no fear of depths and a great fear of shallow living." And it perfectly describes me. I love to get deep, as deep as people will let me go right away. So um, so those are two things. So coaching and my book are the two things that are upcoming for me that are very, very exciting.
Nice.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, good luck with both of those things. They both sound like they'll be incredible gifts to the world. So thank you for making those available.
Thank you. You're welcome. It's been a journey.
So, what is the best way for people to contact you?
They can contact me either through my email, which is kellygraham@shaw.ca. So that's KELLYGRAHAM at SHAW.ca. Or you can go to onecaringhuman.org, and you're able to send me a message or a chat anytime. Or they can follow me on Instagram at Kelly Graham Tick and send me messages there too.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So I know we have a listener on board here. Alice, this is your chance. If I know you've been listening, and I'm just curious if you have any questions that you would like to ask Kelly.
I don't have questions. I just applaud and commend you for what you're doing. I love Soul Doula. That is beautiful.
Thank you.
Um, I've had thoughts of becoming a death doula and
Yeah.
sitting with people who are dying. And I do believe that human touch is the most powerful thing on the earth. And I am seeking a way that I could volunteer or share my gifts with people in that realm. So this has been very helpful.
Fantastic. Thank you. I highly recommend being a death doula. As a massage therapist, I have been there with several people in their last stages, and it is an incredible gift to hold space for them and be there for them in touch and in presence. And it's something that you could look into, as well as contact me. We'll have a chat.
I will do that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, thank you for your comments, Alice. Those were great comments, and I wish you success in becoming a death doula or whatever else you feel called to do. And for those people who will be listening afterwards to the replay of this call, I just wanted to invite you to reach out to me if you have a vision of something that you'd like to change, or maybe you know of somebody. I invite you to reach out to me at my website is www.thewilddivine.us. And you can also join my Facebook group. It's called Spiritually Anchored Visionary Women. And we hold space for each other to give birth to our visions and support each other as change makers. And lastly, I would like to just thank you so much, Kelly, for being here. And Alice, thank you as well for carving time out of your busy days. And thank you for being you. And hopefully our paths will cross again soon.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate being here.
You're welcome.